Evolve is really based on a notion that was brought up by our keynote speaker last year, Jordan Weisman. And his talk, beginning of the conference last year, was about how, in his opinion, we needed as game marketers to add value to our messaging. And value could take lots of different forms. You could offer a coupon, right? But he challenged us last year to go and think deeper than that. So how do we bring entertainment to what we do? Obviously, we're selling video games, which is a form of entertainment, but more and more we're seeing marketing campaigns that bridge the gap and actually are entertaining in and of themselves. And so that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about, and it's one of the things that kind of will persist in all the topics and the discussions for today and all the panels that we're going to be going through. You know, with the emergence of Web 2.0 and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and all this user-generated content out there, there is plenty of entertainment to be had out on the net, and our consumers are probably the first to find that stuff. We get inspired at the agency to help create this content, and we're thinking all the time about how to make entertaining, interesting, exciting pieces of art or pieces of video or whatever it might be. But I do a lot of surfing on the internet, and don't tell Eric, but one of the things that I came across a few years back that I just was blown away by, one of the most entertaining, compelling pieces of original content that I found was this video by a guy, the name of Matt Harding, and the Dancing Matt video. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but I'd like to run it now and show you what I think is one of the most original, one of the most entertaining, exciting, coolest trailers I've seen out there on YouTube or any other channel. So. I'd like to bring up Matt Harding from Where the Hell is Matt, and Pete Parsons, who's a founder of Meteor Solutions, and is going to talk a little bit about some of what's going on behind the scenes with Matt's video.
Well, I was designing games for Pandemic, and I had been doing it for about 7 years, and I decided I wanted to have a life. And I kind of missed out on some things in having my head buried for all those years. And so I took the money that I'd saved up at the job. Oh, great. and just planned a 6-month trip around the world. And about halfway into that trip, I was in Vietnam with a friend, the guy who took my job after I left Pandemic. He took a trip out to meet me, and he said, "Why don't you go stand over there and do that stupid dance you do?" Because I used to do the dance at work all the time to annoy people. Hover behind people's desks when it was time to go to lunch. And he said, "Do that stupid, annoying dance, and I'll film it with your camera." And so it became a habit everywhere I went to record the little memento. That was in 2003. And then I did it just for myself, and I put it up on my website, and it sat there for about a year and a half. And I kept adding footage to it because I went on to Africa. And then in 2005, it was flat broke. I'd spent all my money traveling. I didn't have a job. And it just started getting passed around. And I just woke up one day and 20,000 people had watched it, and then 40,000, 60,000, kept growing, and then millions and millions of people had seen it, which is a story familiar to everyone here, I'm sure. And then I discovered the video on YouTube. Later that year, around August of that year, YouTube was starting to become a thing, and I found my video there, and 600,000 people had watched it. Yeah, so then I became more proactive with the video and realized that if you don't take control of it, somebody else will. And it was around that time, as the video was taking off, that Stride Gum contacted me. And they just found the video like everybody else and found the email address on my site and said, "Hey, would you be interested in making another one for us?" And I thought, dear God, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. I came back to them with the idea for this one, which you guys just watched, which was in the process of making that second video, I realized that me dancing by myself isn't very interesting. Other people dancing is a whole lot more interesting, and I was able to use the second video to draw crowds all over the world for this third culmination. So after the video came out, a lot of people watched that video and would comment on YouTube right underneath it, "That's fake. Obviously, that's a hoax," which kind of cracked me up because I knew, having made it, that it would have been harder to fake than it was to make the real thing. But I was really interested in this tendency that a lot of people have to call fake on anything they see, and a lot of times they're right. And I thought, boy, wouldn't it suck if my video really was fake? And I got up and revealed how it was done. So sort of to poke fun at that whole thing that's going on now, where you have ad agencies going in and trying to create the illusion of authenticity. I explained that I was an actor, that I played a corpse on CSI, and that I stood in front of a green screen for 2 days. And then when it got out on the internet, it gets posted on Dig with the headline, "Matt Harding reveals video is a hoax." And I go on Dig or Reddit, and you look at the headlines, and you'll read the headline, and you don't necessarily read the content. So a lot of people saw that, didn't realize that it was a joke, and this meme got out that it was fake. So Pete, I met like a year or two before that video came out. He's become a friend, and he was working on Fireball, which evolved into Meteor. And as I actually would take rough cuts of the video over to their office, and then he asked me before it came out if they could embed some code on my site. It was really, really simple piece of code that I had to put on my site that allowed him to get metrics on everything that happened from day one as the video got passed around, because my site became the destination point to some extent. I mean, you could see it on YouTube, you could see it in 100 different places, but a lot of people would end up back at the site, and he was able to track how that spread around.
So a couple of Bungie guys and I and Jordan came up with a piece of technology, and I mooched off my friend Matt, saying, "Hey, can we drop this thing on?" And it worked. It was pretty amazing. And the amount of sharing that happened, and our ability to track how content was shared from person to person, from site to site, across email and IM. And in fact, it was a big deal. Earned media is a big deal, and it's something that you are all either working on or thinking probably a lot about. And in fact, we saw that while Matt's video was kicking off, and long afterwards, that 53% of all of the traffic coming to Matt's site was as the result of pass along. Even today, earned media represents 20% of what's happening on Matt's site. And in many cases, it not only beats search in terms of the result of what is the percentage of sharing coming to your site, but it also was very on par, and we're finding it's on par with even things like paid media. So if you think about today, there's paid media, the ads you buy. There's certainly outreach, which you may or may not pay for, and then you have your own media, the site that you have. But there's this whole other column that's a big column called earned media, and that is people talking about your product, that people find the thing you have compelling, whether it's the cool game trailer, whether it's a really compelling or interesting offer, and they think enough of it to email it to their friends. They copy paste the URL and put it in IM. They post it up onto a forum. They put it up on a tech blog, and people actually are interested in it. And so all of a sudden, these people have found, like, this thing is interesting to me right now, and it should be interesting to you right now. We allow you to look at the levels of sharing, to watch the traffic from shared links, to actually measure direct ROI as the result of word of mouth. We can actually track what are the dollars being applied directly to your product as people pass this content along and drive to conversion. And then we have a whole bunch of layers beneath this where you can actually, if you're a media buyer or if you're a community outreach person or PR, you can actually dive deep into the data and watch how that content flows from place to place. It's becoming a critical driver in all of the programs that you are doing, and the ability to be able to track it is a powerful tool. And then obviously we help to measure it, and I think one of the most interesting parts, which is in many times in ad planning, when you look at your current analytics today, you'll see the sort of, there's the big ones. You have your ad servers and you have your own site and search, but way down the list you have a lot of these highly vocal, highly interested sites that are really, whether they're big tech blogs or whether they're people who are just talking about it. Well, many times those in your site look like they're way down the list, but the interesting thing is once you can actually identify the pass-along effect, those numbers are huge. In fact, what looks like the middle or the long tail can end up becoming the head of what's important right now.